Hi y'all, Erica with Sweet Tea Astrology and Tarot, and I'm back again to do another video. This is a long-term transit video, not as long as the last video that I uploaded, but this is dealing with a transit that has already started and will continue until March of 2020. We're talking about Saturn and Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn, so this is Saturn's homecoming, and he is the king, and you better work. That's what I'm calling it anyways. Saturn makes a transit of 2.5 years through each sign of the zodiac. He'll move forward and he'll move back and then he'll move forward again. And I use the pronoun he because Saturn is referred to as Father Time. Saturn is the best way that I know to describe Saturn is the building code inspector. While transiting through the 12 houses of the zodiac or your chart, Saturn tests the stability and the structure, the infrastructure of that home, of that part of your life. And if it isn't built to code, if it isn't built with the proper materials, if it is built shoddily or fast or not properly, then it will be shaken to its core. It will fall and you will have to rebuild it with better materials, with more time, so it will last you through the entirety of your lifetime. That's why Saturn returns are so difficult, because Saturn's coming back to see if you've done the work or not. Now, Saturn has some themes, and so does Capricorn, and I've kind of blended them together to give you an idea of the areas of life that could be being tested on a general scale. I'll get to your zodiac sign house placements towards the end of the video, and I'll have them time-stamped for you as well. But Saturn entered its home of Capricorn back on the 19th of December, 2017, and will be there until March 21st, 2020. Saturn will be testing some things, like I said, like the status quo, authority figures. Saturn is the planet that rules time and our 3D physical reality. It will also test government and the establishment. It will also be looking at the structures, long-standing structures, established structures, and these don't have to be buildings. This can be anything, honestly. But infrastructure, teeth, and bones are also going to be looked at very closely. This is where you tear it down, break it up, just to build it again, to quote Linkin Park, loosely, very loosely. But Saturn requires that you tear it down and break it up to rebuild it stronger to last for your lifetime. Now, the last time that Saturn was in its home in Capricorn was in February of 1988, and it lasted until February of 1991. And there were a couple of key things that stood out to me when doing my research for this video. First being that anytime Saturn returns, you are facing the music from a past cycle. You are facing the echoes, the ripples, if you will, in that pond of your life. That stone was thrown 29 years ago, and Saturn is coming back to check to see how well you've done. The 1987 stock market crash occurred just before Saturn entered into Capricorn in 1988. Saturn was in Sagittarius when it crashed. And Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter promises more than it can give. It's a lot of hot air. It's a hot air balloon. Doesn't mean that it won't come through on some things, but it can't give you everything that's promised. It wants to, but it just can't. Very, very, very lofty ideas. And if, you go back to that hot air balloon, Saturn popped that hot air balloon in 1987, right as it was fixing to come into its home sign of Capricorn. Saturn popped that bubble. I think that with Saturn being in Capricorn again and Taurus fixing to have Uranus come in for a long transit, I feel like the student loan bubble is going to be a big issue here. I think that there are many people that are opening their eyes now to what's been said for a while, that we're training kids, people, whoever decides to go back to school, we're training these people who are going to university for jobs that we really don't have anymore. And trade school is being like skipped over. There's a lot of trades that now need to be filled, but we don't have people who are trained in those trades to do. It's a long debate. It's a long discussion, and I'm not going to, really hash it or flesh it out here, but I think that's going to be something that we're going to be seeing. Another thing, we had the end of the Cold War. The wall that separated East and West Germany came down. And that's very, very, very impactful for me. I was born in West Germany in 1980, Stuttgart. I was an Army brat. Shout out to any of y'all out there. And if you're from Stuttgart, Germany, I would love to hear from y'all. I could listen to Germans speak all day long. It is like soul food for my soul. I can't understand a damn word of it, to be honest with y'all, but I remember it on an instinctual level, hearing it as a child. We left when I was 2, so I really didn't get a chance to experience it the way that a 38-year-old person would. I want to go back, but it hasn't happened yet. I still hold out hope. Anyways, something that I want to prepare you for, though, is that there's going to be a grand conjunction in Capricorn, and it's going to involve Jupiter, it's going to involve Pluto, and it's going to involve Saturn. And this is when it's going to be, a lot of astrologers are already looking towards 2020 and saying it's going to be big. It's going to be big. And it's going to be dealing with government. It's going to be dealing with the status quo. It's going to be dealing with the establishment and authority figures. But our establishment, the way that we have established ourselves, will be rocked. But before the conjunction occurs between Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, we have the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that will be happening in January 2020. So I'm giving you the first final test date. You've got many finals with Saturn. That's just the way that it is. You're in university and you have the final, and it is a one only grade for the class. There is no curve. There is no study guide. Well, there's a little bit of a study guide if you follow astrology, but there is no curve, so you need to do the work now. And Saturn doesn't want you to cram for this exam. Saturn expects that you do the work daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Follow that. Do it bit by bit. Don't expect to build Rome in a day. It's not going to happen. Saturn, again, does not want you to cram, and you will fail the exam if you try to cram, because you should have been studying the whole damn time. That's what Saturn says. So, where do you put in the work? This is where we come to where Saturn is transiting. I've done notes. Again, I'm a note taker. I'm a debate nerd. I'm an astrology nerd. I have to have it down in paper in front of me. Saturn in Capricorn for the signs. Aries, this will be your 10th house. And this is the house that is the house of Capricorn. When I give my readings, I say the 10th house is very much reminiscent of the William Shakespeare quote, "All the world is a stage." The 10th house is yours. It's your career, your status, your reputation. It's also dealing with authority figures in your world and in your life, people you have to answer to. It can also be the house of destiny. For Taurus, it's in the 9th house. This house is ruled by Sagittarius, so you're going to be looking towards the ideas or the areas of life dealing with higher education, long-distance travel, the study of astrology, metaphysics, the occult, higher-minded things, philosophy, religion. It also deals with foreigners, and it can mean legal system issues as well. For Gemini, this is the 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio, and this is the house of life, death, and rebirth, the house of the phoenix. This is where the caterpillar goes to turn into a butterfly. Life, death, and rebirth is a pretty tremendous area of life to deal with. Saturn being there means that you're going to really have to watch yourself, take care of yourself. Also, you're going to have to look to dealing with other people's money, because that's an 8th house item as well. For my Cancerian people, this is the 7th house. 7th house is ruled by Libra, and this is the house of your partnerships, your relationships, and how you deal with others on a daily basis or a very regular basis. This is not necessarily your sexual relationships or partnerships, but it can be where they This is more like your work partners, your co-workers, the people in your classroom if you're going to school, just the people that you deal with on a very regular basis. The 7th house also is the house of legal system issues as well. And I say it in the way of more like open enemies legal system issues, where you would be testifying in an open court of law against someone else. For my Leos, this is the 6th house. The 6th house is traditionally ruled by Virgo, and it is the house of your work and health, or the competency and skills that you bring to the services that you provide. It is also your daily routine, and it is the things that you do to make your world, your life, and your surroundings work at an optimal level for you for your highest good. Now, Leo, I see you having issues with your teeth and your bones because of it being in the 6th house, being health issues. If it's not that, then people at work just won't stay in their damn lane, or you're having issues with authority figures. For my Virgos, this is the 5th house. The 5th house is traditionally ruled by Leo, and this is the house of your creative spark. This is where the artist is born. This is where you create what is dear to you. It can be your children. It can be your romance. It can be your sexual relationships, but it's also where you go to blow off steam, where you go to be a little kid, and where you have your social interactions. Libra. This is occurring in your 4th house. The 4th house is traditionally ruled by Cancer, and it's the house of your home and family, your roots, and your foundation. This can be the home that you actually live in, the structure and the foundation of it. It could also be the structure and foundation of your family, your immediate family, or the family that you create under the roof of your new home, or your home as an adult. For my Scorpios, this is in the 3rd house. The 3rd house is traditionally ruled by Gemini, and this is a house of communication, but it's short distance communication. It's dealing with also your siblings, cousins, and neighbors. It can be your vehicle, your car. It's basically your voice getting out into the world, and people on your level as well. Now, for Sagittarius, this is in your 2nd house, and this is a difficult transit. When Saturn is in your 2nd house, you're dealing with your money house, and that's the house that's traditionally ruled by Taurus. And it's the house of your earning ability, your values, your self-esteem, your self-worth. It's also the house of your possessions. So be mindful and careful with your money. The next 2 years are going to be difficult. So now that you know that, forewarned is forearmed. And I know that this is late, but I hope that it still helps you in your dance with Saturn. Capricorn. It's in your 1st house. This house is traditionally ruled by Aries, and the 1st house is a house of you, your body, yourself. It is the physical embodiment of who you are, and it's how the world sees you. Again, I see you having issues with teeth and bones, possibly even your hair, and these are all things that are ruled by Saturn. Now would be a good time to go to a dentist and to reset or have the work done on your bones that you need done. I happen to know of one Capricorn right now, Capricorn rising. Very dear lady to me. I love her dearly. Miss Lisa is a Libra sun and a Capricorn rising, and she was recently diagnosed with cancer, and I gave her a reading back a few months ago, and I told her that with Saturn moving into Capricorn, that there was a possibility that it could spread. It could possibly move to her bones. And they just recently did a biopsy on her leg. I don't like being right about that kind of stuff, y'all. But Miss Lisa, if you're watching this, I love you dearly. I hope that you're well, and I'm sending you as much love and light and healing energy as I can. For my Aquarians, this is occurring in the 12th house. It is traditionally ruled by Pisces, and the 12th house is a really hard house to see. It is the darkest of the 12 houses because it's underwater. It's Pisces. It's the dream space. It is also, it can be your mental health. It can be your subconscious. It can be the dream space. It's very ethereal. It can be dealing with spirituality as well, where you're having dreams of especially parents passing. coming back to you and giving you advice or speaking to you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a parent. It can be somebody that you looked up to as a parent, or someone who is in that age group. For my Pisces, the Pisceans will be dealing with Saturn transiting through their 11th house. The 11th house deals with your memberships, groups, teams, and associations that you belong to. Anything you have a membership to would also qualify or classify. The 11th house also rules the internet and internet dealings. So it could be that you are having people not stay in their lanes when it comes to the internet, or you're having a hard time staying in your lane when it comes to the internet. It could also be a time for you to really rely on and find your tribe and who your real tribe is, not just who are the fair weather friends. These are the people that are there through thick and thin. So that's what I've got for you now, all of my lovely viewers. Thank you so much. And I just checked, honestly, on my YouTube channel, and there's almost 6,000 people that are still, I mean, it's like 5,900 something. 5,900 and some change of y'all that have stuck through me not doing videos. And I just want to say thank you so much for sticking with me and understanding that things have been really difficult for me. I think you know and can tell that I'm very concerned about y'all, and I care. I want to know what's going on in your world, and I want to give you as much information as I can to help you prepare yourselves for that. So again, thank you. I'm very honored with your presence here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and hit that bell. Don't forget to hit the bell, because I am going to be starting up my uploading processes again, and I want you to be able to get all of the messages that I send out for you. So, and that's really the only way that you can do that right now. When I start posting on Steemit, I will link it in the bottom of the comments as well. Anyways, I'm rambling. I love y'all. Take care. Saturn will be here for a few years, but it won't be horrible. It's preparing you for the next step. Capricorn rising. If you are a Capricorn rising, it is going to be difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be difficult. But you can do this. You're one of the toughest signs of the zodiac. I consider Capricorn to be right underneath of Scorpio when it comes to, well, Capricorn and Taurus are tied, because they really are. They have what it takes to stick it out. They're stubborn enough to. But yeah, just take your time, do the work. I've given you the area of life, what house that it will be impacting. If you know your chart, it's even better, because then you can look at your sun, your moon, and your ascendant and see where this is occurring for you. If you don't know where your planets are, you can run a natal chart. You can Google the words free natal chart. You'll need your birth date, which everybody pretty much knows, your birth time, which is harder for people to figure out sometimes, and your birthplace. And you want it to be the exact time. If you don't know the exact time, then just click unknown and it'll be as close as it can be. So yeah, I think I'm done rambling. I love y'all. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Until then, take care of yourselves and save some of that care for others, because we're all going through private battles in our world that some of us may never speak about to another living soul. I love y'all. Namaste. Bye.